All right, so today, most veterans, when they're filing their claim at the VA, they're taking this bowl of spaghetti and just throwing it against the wall, right? Or they're filing what hurts, right? If your back or your feet are hurting, you file that at the VA. That's not a strategy, that's guessing. The order you file your claims, it directly affects how much you win and how fast you go to 100, or as close to it as possible. So there's an order of things here that needs to be considered. Let's get into it. Currently, most veterans, their gateway claim is tinnitus, right? It's just there's no medical evidence needed for it. There's no test for it. There's no medical evidence needed, right? I just said that. So that's most veterans' gateway claim. Now, the VBA is looking to change that, where you can't just file tinnitus as a standalone anymore. But for most veterans, myself included, tinnitus was the original gateway claim. So once you have that service connected, some secondaries open up and you're in the VA system. Currently, that's the most winnable, easiest claim to win, and it gets you in the system. So that's step one. It opens the door for you. Get service connected. Understand how the VA does things. Start drawing some income. Start getting into their system and get some benefit from it. Tinnitus is a great gateway currently as I record this. And then move on to phase two. So phase two for a lot of veterans, myself included, was migraines or headaches, right? So the constant ringing in my ears causes those headaches. I don't get them every day, but I get them often enough to where it impacts me socially and economically. Okay, so now once you establish that gateway claim, then you go after the secondaries. So for some, maybe it's mental health. Maybe you have a valid stressor. You deployed, you've got PTSD. So once you get PTSD one, whether it's 30, 50, or 70, now that opens up all of your secondaries. So you're ready, after your gateway claim, you're ready to move on to some secondaries. Because most veterans didn't go to sick call. So you have nothing in your service treatment records. Yeah, I understand your feet are jacked up. But if you don't have anything in your service treatment records, you're never going to win your feet on a direct connect basis. Okay, so pivot. Go about this strategically. Understand how the VA works. So now once you're service connected for tinnitus or for mental health and tinnitus, the whole world of secondaries opens up to you. GERD, IBS, sleep apnea, headaches, hypertension, all of those open up to you now that you're service connected for either tinnitus or mental health. So there's an order of things and you've got to be strategic about it. And those presumptives fall into that, right? So the presumptives I covered in another video, but it allows the VA to assume that the condition you're filing, that you've been diagnosed with, and your filing was caused by when and where you served. So those fall into it too. And then that spaghetti method of just throwing stuff against the wall to see what fits or what sticks hardly ever works. Think about it this way. At the VBA, they're not doctors, typically. They're not veterans, typically, right? They're government employees. They're under evaluation every day. It's a corporate job, just like, if you were working for a lawn care company or for a tech company, you're under evaluation by your superiors every day. Same thing at the VBA. Why do I mention this? Because if you submit a claim with 12 things and half of them are BS, the VBA does too. So when you submit a complicated claim and it's not fully developed, so they've got to do a lot of legwork and they're being evaluated, guess whose claim they're going to make somebody else's problem? Yours. The guy that filed 12 things and half of them are BS, right? So when they make that claim somebody else's problem, guess what? That's a problem for you, right? Now, what I see happens, you limit it to 1 to maybe 6, 5, probably better, conditions on one claim. So limit it to 5 or 6 if you can. And fully develop it. Give them all of your medical records. Give them all of the medical opinions. Give them all the lay statements if you've got them. Give them all the PubMed documentation that supports your claim. Fully develop this thing where it's a nice, neat little package with a bow on it, right? Not spaghetti against the wall. When you do that, now these people that are being evaluated, they're under metrics, right? Their performance is gauged. So now you make that claim easy on them. Nothing's going to get dropped. Right? They're going to actually look at all 5 because you made it logical and methodical and fully developed. So they're going to look at all 5 of those or all 3 of those or both of those, whatever the case may be, because you've got everything, all your ducks in a row, I's dotted, T's crossed. They're going to be able to adjudicate that claim successfully before lunch, and then, they look good. So when you make them look good and you make their job easy, your claim then looks easy. right? And looks better for you. So don't file everything all at once. Limit it to strategic claims, get the order of things correctly, you'll go further faster. And then these higher ratings compound faster. Now, I know the VA math doesn't seem like it maths like it used to when we were in school. You basically, if you start adding it up, you need 200% to get to 100%. But think about it this way. Would you rather have 20 10%ers or 4 50%ers? What I just said about making the VA's life easier makes your life easier too. If you can get to 100% with 4 claims, why wouldn't you do that? Because your knees bother you? VA sees ortho as low-value claims. So your feet, your knees, yeah, you can get them bilaterally, but you can win them at 0 or 10. So now you need 20 of those to get to 100. That's your goal, right? If you just want to get your feet service connected, go for it. I get it. But a lot of guys want to get what's owed them, and how you do that is focus on the high-value claims, not things that are necessarily top of mind for you. I get it. It hurts to stand too long. Hell, it hurts to sit too long. But you only get 10 or 20% for your knees and your back, whereas you could get 50% for headaches and mental health. You get two of those claims, you're at 80%. 50 equals 80. I can get into VA math in another video, but real quick. So if you win mental health at 50%, they take away half your points. So you got 50 points left. Okay? They give you, your mind and body, 100 points when you enter the VA system. It's an easy way to think about VA math. When you enter the VA system, they give you 100 points for your mind and your body. You win mental health at 50, they take away half your points. 50% of 100 is 50, right? So now you're at 50%. Now you win headaches. So you file headaches, you win that at 50%. They're going to take away 50% of your remaining points. You only got 50 points left. So they take away 25 points. That puts you at 75%. So they round. Anything between 75 and 84 is now 80 is what they pay you out at. So that's how a 50 and a 50 equals 80 in the VA math. Okay, so focus on those high value claims if you can. And then some kind of thresholds here to be aware of. When you get in the VA system at 10%, you can't add your spouse or dependents. You got to get to 30% before you can see that bump in pay for having a family. So get to 30% as quick as possible. Then once you do, file another claim and show your marriage certificate and birth certificates for your dependents and your spouse. That gets you to that 30% threshold with dependents. And then once you get to 50% service connected, the compensation kind of jumps a little bit. There's a big jump from 90 to 100, but there's also a pretty significant jump from 10, 20, 30, 40 to 50. 50 now is kind of a higher increase in rate of pay. And you also become eligible for health care. Now, 70% is a major threshold for a lot of folks. You become eligible for TDIU, and I'll explain that in another video, but basically what that means, they pay you out at 100% if you apply for TDIU. Now, what I do, I don't work in TDIU. I work in Scheduler. TDIU is a different program, and I'll talk about it in a later video. But 70% kind of opens up that world for you, along with another bump in pay, obviously. And then finally, there's that bump from 90 to 100. Significant jump, usually around that $2,000 mark for most vets. You get your dependents get tuition assistance. A lot of states offer like property tax deferral or exemptions. So there's a lot to getting to 100. It's not just the compensation. There's other things involved. And a lot of folks want to get to P&T, where I'll do another video on that. What permanent and total, P&T. What that means is the VA's basically moved you off their books. They're never going to look at you again. There's no risk of you being proactively reevaluated to see if they can reduce you. They basically agree you're going to die with the conditions you got. Maybe not from them, but at least with them. So you're never going to get better, 100%. They're going to move you off the books. But there's a lot of misnomers that go on with permanent total or P&T, and I'll get into that in a later video. It's not the subject of this video. Just know that 100% is the major threshold, and there's a lot of benefits to it. Then when you know these thresholds and you can kind of start thinking about your claims strategically, focusing on the high value claims, you know what threshold you're next to, and you can kind of make a better plan, better strategy, if you will, strategy for how to get where you want to go. If you'd like to work with me to build a plan, if you're tired of just slinging spaghetti and want to know more why the VA does what it does and how I can help you get there, I've got a form in the link or the description below, so click on that and get scheduled up with me, and we'll see if we're a good fit. Thanks for watching.